Hello and welcome to the astronomy class. I am Smriti Mahajan. In today's video, I decided to discuss a question which is often being put to me as a practicing astronomer, and that is, why did I choose to study astronomy, or how is astronomy even relevant to our life? So in this video, I will take you through some of my thoughts as to why I chose to do astronomy, why I think everybody should know a little bit about astronomy. And if you are a student who's pursuing or who wants to pursue astronomy as a subject, as a career, as a hobby, we'll see some of the options and some of the paths that are relevant for you right from school. So let's begin. So for a very long time, when I was asked this question that why have you chosen to study astronomy or why do you want to be an astronomer, I would often get very upset with the questioner and counter question them saying, why do you think a dancer dances? Or why do you think a musician plays music or a singer sings? Or an artist does his art? And to some extent, that is a fair query. Because if you come to think about it, all of the art, all of the entertainment, which is part of our everyday life for everybody, irrespective of which strata of life you come from, which strata of society you come from, none of that entertainment or arts are essential for life. Yet they play a very huge role in our social and mental well being. All of us will neither be required nor, I believe, will be relevant if we choose to play the role of doctors or engineers or even politicians and farmers, right? Moreover, I believe we will not be utilizing our capabilities as humans if we decide to do so. As a practicing astronomer for over 15 years, now when I think about it, I realize that just like art, music, and dance satisfies the creative urge of the artist, studying the universe satisfies a very important aspect of the human experience, and that is curiosity. Studying the cosmos, studying the universe, not only broadens our horizons, but it also makes us very humble. Let me dwell on this a little bit. Please stay with me and let me know in the comments if you agree with me or not. So, when I look up, I look at the vastness of the sky and all the stars twinkling back at me, I feel very humble. I feel very humble because we live on a tiny planet, a tiny blue dot, which is one amongst eight others revolving around the sun. And it is not even the largest planet in the solar system. In fact, it is one of the dwarf planets, much smaller than many others in the solar system itself. And our sun, it is just a main sequence star, which is one among billion others in the galaxy. So if you come to think of it, it is pretty insignificant. And our galaxy, even that is not unique or even one of the larger galaxies or has anything special about it. It is one of at least 2 trillion other galaxies that we can observe in the observable extent of the universe. And how do we know all this? We know all this because some of us decided to explore the universe. But why limit ourselves only to the expanse of the space? Now we know that universe has been around for 14 billion years, but humans appeared only in the last 300,000 years. Which means that if time were a book of say 1,000 pages, humans appeared on the last paragraph of last page. So when we observe the universe, we are not just studying the cosmic history, but turning a page in our very own. Which is as well because what are we? We know that 14 billion years ago, universe started out with only hydrogen and traces of helium. And if it were not for stars, it would still have remained the same. But structures like stars and galaxies formed, evolved with time, and created all the elements such as carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and everything else. The carbon atoms that we are made of, the calcium in our teeth and bones, the oxygen that we breathe, all of that came from the stars. When I wear a piece of jewelry, I'm not excited about how expensive it is, but my astronomer's brain is in awe that it is so precious because that gold was formed when a massive star exploded as a supernovae. In fact, all the precious elements, silver, platinum, they are all formed when massive stars explode towards the end of their life as supernova explosions. So, when we start exploring our cosmic horizons, do we become more aware of our connection with the universe at large, with nature itself? But space exploration does not only change our perspective towards life, our being, and our existence, but also the way we live. Several advancements in technology meant to be for astronomy are being used in day to day lives. The CCD in your camera phone, the satellites without which your smartphones cannot function, the global positioning system which allows you to safely navigate most parts of the world, X rays and MRI scans for the medical industry, and even the internet without which you will not be listening to me today here, are all technologies that were developed for research in astronomy by astronomers or engineers and are now a part of our day to day life. But most important achievements of astronomy is to bring science to the masses. I'm not undermining any other subjects, but I think you will agree with me that no other subject in sciences or otherwise can diminish the charm of astronomy, whether it is to motivate young children to study STEM subjects or to motivate adults to raise funds for a scientific activity or event. So, next time someone asks you why astronomy, tell them you want to look up to understand what lies within. And I'm not saying that all of us should start doing a PhD in astronomy because that would be like going around the same circle that we've been discussing here. What I believe is that everyone should know a little bit about the universe and spend some time exploring it just to experience the awe that studying the universe can alone offer. Now we come to the second most asked questions by the students, and that is how do I become an astronomer in India? Now, I'm saying in India because most of the time as a teacher, I have interacted with students in the Indian setting, but the broad guidelines that I'm going to discuss here remain the same irrespective of your geography. To begin with, an Indian student must have cleared their senior school board exams in the science stream. It is a no brainer that physics and maths go hand in hand because maths is indeed the language of physics. After that, for college, you can either clear one of the entrance exams, such as the Joint Entrance Screening Test, the Central University Entrance Test, the National Entrance Screening Test to qualify for NICER, or the ICER Aptitude Test, which is the IAT, to get admissions to an eligible bachelor's program such as BSc General, BSc Physics Honours, BSc Maths Honours, or an integrated BS-MS program. You may even choose some branches of engineering for a BTech depending upon your specific interests. I'm sure some of you may be thinking, why engineering? But remember that organizations such as ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, do not hire astronomers. It's the data analysts who are analyzing the data, it's the engineers in various different branches who are building the rockets and the satellites. Here is a small list of institutions in India which are known for their astronomy departments and research. Some of them offer integrated BS-MS programs where you can opt for a specialization in astronomy in your final year or final semester. This could be in the form of specialized courses or a final semester or final year thesis. Some institutes in India also allow choosing astronomy minor along with the physics major nowadays. So that is another avenue that you can explore. After graduation, you may choose to do a master's in physics or MTech in an eligible field. Here is the selection criteria put out by IUCAA this year, for instance. At this stage or after completing your master's, you can also appear for entrance exams conducted by large institutions such as the Inter-University Centre for Astronomy and Astrophysics, IUCAA, or ICERS or the Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, etc., to qualify for an integrated MS-PhD program or a PhD after your master's. These are some of the exams that you can explore to qualify if you want to pursue higher studies in astronomy in India. As a doctoral student and mentor myself, my biggest advice to anybody who is enrolling in a PhD program, not just in astronomy but in any field, is to choose your PhD advisor very, very carefully. Do not just go for big name, a big professor, or a person with many feathers in their cap. What you need to do is to interact with their former and current students, to understand how they work. Many a times it so happens that a very famous professor is so busy with many other students, the research work in their lab, administrative duties as well, that they will not have enough time to work with you. On the other hand, it might also happen, and I've seen this many times, that the same mentor can be a great mentor for one student and the worst villain in the life of the other. And that's not because the mentor is being partial or is a bad human. It's simply that there's a communication gap between the student and the mentor. There can also be a mismatch in personality. For instance, your supervisor expects you to work from 9 to 5 in the lab, just like a regular job, but you may have a style of working where you want to work at night. There are many other examples like this. So this is one of my advice, and the best way to figure out what is the expectation of your supervisor, what is their working style, it is absolutely advisable to interact with them as well as their current and former students if you can. My second piece of advice to you, if you want to start a PhD in astronomy or any other field, would be to not start a PhD with a single minded expectation that you will have a faculty job at the end of these 5 years. It may happen, but given that we are such a large country with very few job options, it may not. In your PhD, focus on building skills. For instance, skills like coding, data handling, image analysis, statistical techniques will take you far in many other sectors beyond astronomy or whatever is your chosen field of research. These are in great demand in the medical sector, in the finance sector, and many other fields outside academia. So rather than focusing on the number of papers you are publishing from a chosen niche which is very, very tiny, do focus on building your skill set. My third and most important suggestion to you would be, do not compromise your health at any cost. If you are on a regular path, then you will be starting your PhD somewhere in your early 20s. Okay, and a PhD is a long program. It is a 5 to 6 years of commitment of the formative years of your life. It is very easy to fall in the trap thinking that hard work is equal to poor health. Please do not fall in that trap. These are your formative years. Your health is the most important thing for you and your future. If by any chance you end up in a situation where you are amongst toxic people or in a toxic environment, please do not continue to stay there, because your mental health is as important as your physical health. If you have committed 5 years for the PhD program, but say after 2 years you realize that you cannot or do not want to continue, please do not continue just because you have spent 2 years already. The remaining 3 years can be saved if you change the atmosphere around you, if you take a decision that you do not want to continue doing this anymore, rather than being stuck and miserable in it. So take charge of the situation. You are a young adult. Don't expect anybody else to take that decision on your behalf. It's your life, it's your future, it's your formative years, and you are the only one who has the right to make that decision for yourself. You need to figure out how much stress you can handle and how much stress you should feel for something which counts only as training. And at the end, please like and share this video with friends and family and with anybody whom you think will find value. And do like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your love and support so far. I'll see you next week. Until then, take care.